Morning, everyone. This is Councilman Michael Holmes calling to order the January 21st session of the Tech Committee, Transparency, Engagement, and Communication. With me in chambers today are all members of the Tech Committee, as well as our clerk and city attorney. We have a few items on the agenda today, and we'll begin by presenting 2026-9, consideration of a license agreement with 725 Print Lab Incorporated, and Jerron Hollis, our managing director, will be presenting.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, Jerron Hollis, managing director. What you have before you for consideration is a license agreement, a draft of a license agreement that is the result of a lot of work internally to try to help sort of capitalize on the energy from the brand, the branding. And what we have here is essentially our intellectual property, our trademarks, our branding elements being given to a third party, 725 Print Lab. And what they will do is be responsible for the production of merchandise that will be sold to the public. The public will get that merchandise, they would order it just like they would from a store. And the most important part of one of the most important parts of the agreement is we get 10% of the gross merchandise sales revenue. What it prevents us from having to do is having to worry about inventory. You know, we won't have our staff running up and downstairs trying to find shirts and T-shirts and caps and such. And it's for 1 year. So so the draft agreement for consideration is a pilot program for a year for them to perform this service for us. So our ask is that the council approve this license agreement with 725 Print Lab, the operation for the city's official merchandise store, and authorize the city manager to execute the agreement.
Thank you so much.
Be glad to handle any questions that you might have.
We'll open it up for questions. Do we have any questions from the Tech Committee?
I have a couple.
Yes, sir.
So tell me a little bit about 725 Print Lab, the company.
So 725 Print Lab is they're a local vendor. They're here in High Point. They have, as a part of their portfolio, they provide some printing for some larger names of other companies. So this is something that they do. They have a facility that can provide the type of printing that we would need for this type of merchandise. So this would be them expanding their offering of what they already do, but they'd be including the City of High Point merchandise as part of what they're doing. We went through an internal process to look at, who could do this. And again, this is a pilot program for a year, so we're not locked into it permanently. But what it does give us an opportunity to do is see if, with the demand, with the merchandise that's available, see what that process would look like, and it gives us some leeway to be able to keep control of what the merchandise looks like, the types of items that are there. And again, it's local, so that was an added plus to a qualified company.
So we have veto power over the kinds of merchandise they want to come up with?
Well, what we have set up is they will give us an idea of, we give them the licensing of brand elements. You see on the screen, we have some examples, but they would show us anything before they offered it to the public. So they wouldn't have something up there that we'd never seen before. So if we say, no, too much blue, maybe a little more orange, we do have that creative control. So anything that's available to the public through the store, we would have approved. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. Appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Yeah, a couple of follow-ups.
Yes, sir.
In your research of this, this was not a bidding process. This was you searching for the right vendor.
Yeah, the service that's being offered here, if this were something that we were doing, say a company was going to be providing all the gear that we have, all of our employee uniforms, then of course that would rise to the level where we had to say, we'd go through an RFP process. And I got the attorney here for any clarification on that. But what this is an agreement with a company that is going to give us a sense of demand, production for a relatively smaller slice of the pie. I don't know how much revenue, how much they'll have in sales, but this is a small sort of first step into the process.
And how will that be monitored during the year? Will they be giving us monthly updates, quarterly updates?
Of what they're selling in revenue? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They'll be giving us information as far as what they've sold and how much they've sold, and that's what,
Monthly or?
Monthly.
Real time, or
the agreement, what's in the agreement is monthly.
do you have the agreement?
I don't have it in front of me. It's in the packet.
It's in the packet.
Okay, okay. I thought it might be, okay, gotcha. And we had, to follow up on Councilman Harmon's question.
Yes.
You talked about colors and designs and things like that. What about the actual items? I mean, whether it's a hoodie or a hat or a mug or whatever, do they get authority to put it on whatever they want?
That's a great segue. So we approve the things that they're selling, the items that they're selling, and what those are going to look like. We approve that. So not just the design, but what they're actually selling.
All right. And you said they're located here locally. Where are they located?
I don't have the address for the company. I'll get that back to you, but they're looking at actually getting, expanding. I think if this becomes something that they're doing, they're looking at offering one of their goals that they said is to offer a walk-in store with local property, but I'll get
You say local, you're saying High Point.
High Point, yes, High Point. But currently, they provide, were you? Okay, currently, they provide the type of apparel that we're talking about, they provide it across the region. We just happen to be trying to get them to do this for High Point merchandise.
Okay.
So, did you have any other questions? I'm good. So currently, their product for all of their other clients is specifically online. They don't have like a warehouse to where they distribute from or sell from. They just, anyone for any particular client would order them strictly online, and they produce it kind of point of sale.
I think it's a mix. I think they have on their site, they have the ability for people to buy things. They also fulfill orders.
Okay.
So if a company says, I need, 400 of these or 700 of those, they have a production facility here where they actually make those and get those fulfilled. So I think they do it a number of ways, but this particular platform allows it to be an online merchandise store for ease with our merchandise.
You said that potentially they could look at a kind of a brick and mortar type walk-in store. What would be the revenue trigger point? Have you guys calculated what that would be, the demand for product that would trigger us being able to support a walk-in store?
Well, one thing that's a distinction here is what we're doing is we're licensing them to be able to use our marks, some of the individual items from our style guide, whether it's what we create in High Point Changes the World or the H-Dot or items of that nature. What we're not doing is we're not getting into how in other words, if he wants to open up a store and he wants to have the High Point merchandise in the front and HPU merchandise in the back, that's up to them. So we're not really getting. Our job is to make sure that if our residents go to the online stop that we give them, that merchandise is available. If there are other places where he wants to sell the merchandise, if they want to go to events and set up a booth, so their business practices and how they do it, we just want to make sure that we're getting the information that the community needs to buy what they want.
So that means if they worked out a distribution deal with large retailers like, say, Target or Walmart, they could do that, and our share would still be 10% of those sales.
For the High Point stuff, that would be my understanding, yes.
Chairman, if I can, I'll just clarify a few points that we have in the license agreement. So right now, we're contemplating the online merchandise store and licensor-approved in-person sales and pop-up shops, so that licensor being the city. So if there were any opportunity for in-person sales or pop-up shops, the city would approve those in addition to the online merch store. And then we have in here a monthly sales report that we'll be receiving and will be paid monthly. And additionally, we've built into it the ability for reporting and auditing of the shop, that they're going to, maintain books, documents, papers, they're going to continue to run their business, but we'll have the ability for reports and audits for the entire length of our relationship with them, plus an additional 5 years. So we've built in here, checkpoints to be able to see what's going on monthly, and then additionally, if we ever need to look at anything. And we have tried to contemplate some of the questions that you're raising, contemplating like approval rights and things like that. That's why if it were to be any in-person or pop-up shops, or if there's an opportunity where the city wants a pop-up shop, for example, at, a city event or, Uncle Sam Jam or something like that, then we could request it through the terms that we've put forward in the agreement right now. And obviously, we can amend it at any time. So since this is a new program, if we learn that we need to, change it, or, it's less about online and it's going to be more about in person, then of course we could amend it if we needed to adjust for that. But I think we'll learn within the first year kind of what this looks like with the sales.
Who's going to be responsible for the marketing? Is the city going to take the lead on that, introducing it to the public, getting it out there for the public to be able to participate? Is it going to be 725, or is that going to be us?
We're going to give the public an opportunity through our normal marketing efforts to know where to get the items. Now, once they're on their platform, it's just like going to any vendor, but we will definitely support the idea of helping people find out where to get the items. And to the attorney's point, if they're going to be present at certain events, where we're able to say, come and get a T-shirt, or, we would have the ability to get High Point merchandise. Mr. Chair, if I can, for a moment, I'd like to introduce our new marketing manager, Courtney Bardwaj. She has just some examples of some of the items that would be available at the store. A couple of T-shirts and sweatshirts that we just got these in. So we just wanted to just give a visual presentation of just some of the stuff that residents could get. Again, these are examples. If we had something that was at the store, then we would have already seen it and already approved it and already talked about it. But these are some of the items that we could get. Just a short list of some of the examples of what would be in people's order.
What size is that?
More importantly, how much?
So, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you all for having me. I also want to say that these will be available in a variety of colors, all on brand with the H Point mark.
And I'm sorry, Jerron, I'm the oldest one up here. What was her name?
Courtney Bardwaj.
Thank you.
Yes, it's Bardwaj. It looks hard to pronounce, but it's not, sir.
Councilman
Courtney,
Moore, there will be a spelling test at the end. So.
Courtney, welcome aboard. We're excited for what you will do. So thank you and this is a very good debut for you today, right in line segue with my question. So does anyone have any further questions regarding item 2026-9?
Just the one. I'm sorry. Sure. Okay. If we would think about access to the store and placement of the store, I know that some of the stuff that we've shown in the city, people are interested in getting, and they're, like I said, they've asked me about where to get it, and I've kind of pointed them in that direction. But if it'd be nice, at least in the idea, because like if you're thinking like what Carolina Core, you can just go right here and get it. It's just an idea. I'm not saying where they can obviously going to choose where their store is placed, but just an idea at some point to make sure that we can kind of get the people access if they wanted to get there. Some don't always have cars to go north, some, et cetera. And I take a 3X on the hoodie too.
Well, if approved, what's our target date, effective date on when this would start?
Great.
How much more work has to be done? If it's approved at the next council meeting, would it be up and approved in a week, or what?
Once the agreement is approved, our hope is that merchandise will be available as early as February.
Oh, nice.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
Just in time for Valentine's Day.
I do have one other question, Ron. I mean, if we're asking them to go to a city event and they got to pay their staff, how does that affect the 10% of the gross sales? Because that's more expense for them because they're paying a staff person. I'm assuming it's not going to be a city person who's going to be running their point of sale, right?
Well, as far as our agreement, the items they sell, we get our percentage. We're not into, overtime for their staff or those things. That's a part of their business model in order to, when they say they want to do this, that's a part of it. We don't get involved in that aspect of it.
Cool. All right.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to approve item 2026-9. Is there a second?
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Moore. Any discussion on the item? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes. Thank you all.
Follow-up comment, if I may. If you can, as we move forward with this, if you can keep us apprised as to, once it's instituted, how the reports they send to you monthly, if that's something that could be emailed out to us or shared with us.
Thank you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. Next up, we have item 2026-10, presentation of the 2024-2027 strategic plan update. Meredith Martin, Strategic Initiatives Manager, will be presenting. Morning.
Good morning, Chair Holmes, members of the committee. Just to give you an overview, this is the strategic plan update for the second quarter of our current fiscal year. The second quarter includes primarily October through December of 2025, just to give you kind of the months we're looking at here. This presentation will go through our 6 goals within our strategic plan, give you a high-level overview of our accomplishments, challenges, and upcoming priorities. And if you would like to see further details, you can obviously access our dashboard on our website. So, just to kick things off here, just wanted to provide you all with our overview of where we stand with our strategic plan. 81% of the initiatives are on track, 12% are complete, and 7 have realized some disruption. Some of the items within the some disruption, we just haven't reset from the delays from the first quarter that we've realized, so that's kind of what's going on there. But overall, we have progress on 43% of the items within the plan. So for goal number 1, thriving economy, some key accomplishments include the Catalyst Area Projects momentum. Our last quarter included the opening of the Spring Hill Suites to much success, I think. We've also reached an agreement with the Congdon Foundation regarding the Congdon Yards parking lot to become the future site of parking garage as well as development of apartments. We've also realized some industrial park development momentum. Gallimore Dairy Industrial Park is fully leased, and they're looking and making plans to build an additional spec building. The South Point Commerce Center also has plans for an additional spec building there. And then entrepreneurship and business outreach. Our economic development team has spent the last quarter conducting a lot of presentations and collaborations within our community, including their economic development annual meeting. For challenges, matching industries with our available site utilities, that's just an ongoing issue. Just the industries we can hold within our industrial parks. There's a lot of competition there, and so that's just an ongoing challenge that we face there. And then coordination of projects. This is going to be kind of an ongoing theme, just with some of our capital projects, especially just working with private partners. As an example of this would be with the Washington Street Electric Underground, just working with those private utilities to relocate certain utilities. So for our upcoming priorities in this area, we're looking to make some progress again with entrepreneurial-focused facilities. So that would be our commercial shared use kitchen. We want to finalize that design, select an operator, and then refine the RFQ or RFP for construction. So those are kind of our next steps for that area. 300 Oak, within the next quarter, would like to bid out the Phase 1 portion of that project, which would be the roof and building envelope. And then finally, research of investment opportunities. We're doing much research on the Opportunity Zone 2.0 program and just looking at potential economic development investments that are possibly available there. All right. For Goal 2, effective communication and engagement, key accomplishments, community events and engagement. Last calendar year, we hit our targets, and obviously this year, we're off to a good start with the MLK-related events this past weekend, as well as the Walk for Peace event. So, branding initiatives, we've begun our internal branding with our core values within the last quarter, and we plan to continue doing that. And obviously, your first item goes well with that initiative as well. So we're working towards that. And then last quarter, we enhanced our transparency and information access with the launch of our dashboard. We've obviously gotten in the rhythm with our live streaming of committee meetings and council meetings, and then just continuing our multimedia efforts as we move forward. Some challenges, capital funding for large-scale venues. We obviously have those master plans for venues and festival-type venues, but just trying to find some funding for any of those enhancements there. And then staffing constraints within our communication and public engagement department. As Jerron just noted, we have our marketing manager now, and so we can continue those efforts to increase our branding and graphic design and infographics.
Can you or Jerron, excuse me for interrupting, on the staffing constraints, which are not unique to one department, but can you expound a little bit on defining how short you are or what those constraints are, what you're looking for?
We had a vacancy with the former marketing manager, and with the competitive market, it took us a while to get the right person into the role, and so we're happy to have Courtney here. And we, just like Meredith said, we're excited to have her here, and that helps us move forward with some of the key initiatives that have been stated. So the biggest part of that staffing challenge was filling the marketing manager position, which we have now.
Okay.
So Jerron, would you consider yourself fully staffed now, or is there still some staffing needs outside of Courtney joining the team?
We have one more position that we have to fill with a full-time person, but we've taken great measures of kind of being able to circle the wagon, kind of what we were doing during the vacancy. So we're confident that we can move forward as we should to get what we need to get done.
Can you give me a couple of examples of the large-scale venues?
Yeah, it's primarily Oak Hollow. You all, I should say, adopted a master plan in the past year, and so it's really just kind of checking those off as far as making any potential enhancements.
Improvements?
No, go ahead.
Well, no, I won't. That's okay, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
I think I understand.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
So finally, our upcoming priorities include just expanding our multimedia efforts, so continuing to put our core values in all our facilities and continuing our branding efforts within the community, as well as the preparations for our 2026 resident survey. We will work with our consultant on our biennial survey, and that survey will be conducted at the end of the calendar year. All right, so Goal 3, proactive urban design and planning. Some key accomplishments, our build grant design and environmental review have been completed for the Elm Street segment of the project. For the development ordinance updates, our public engagement has been completed, and we have a work group reviewing the first draft with the intention to adopt that in the late summer. And then finally, Our plan review and inspections department are still showing great efficiencies by very much running well below the goal of 5 days to complete a review once an assignment is assigned to personnel. Some challenges, project partnership coordination, so continued efforts of working with agencies outside of the city. An example of this would be conducting the environmental reviews related to our CMAQ sidewalk projects, as well as reduced NCDOT funding opportunities. There's been a reduction in funding by about 30% in comparison to prior years, primarily due to NCDOT catching up with some of the Helene issues. So that's just a challenge that's ongoing. For upcoming priorities, we have received the final draft, and it's being reviewed for our transit study report, and that should be coming forward to City Council in the future. And next steps for the build grant would be right-of-way acquisition, and so we hope that will begin in the coming quarter. Goal 4, resilient community. Some key accomplishments here is the development of our housing fund in partnership with the High Point Community Foundation. We also have mental health initiatives ongoing, both at the library, and then we also have an alternative response team that's being developed, and we have, as of the end of the quarter, 3 positions that have been posted for that initiative. And then our community development department has tried to move towards more proactive code enforcement, and that's primarily looking at nuisance and zoning cases, and so that's an ongoing effort that we have here in this past quarter.
Quick question.
Yes.
How's the staffing on the code enforcement department?
So a good segue, that is a challenge that we're facing.
well,
We have,
okay.
it's perfect.
Just read it down a little bit.
We've realized a few gaps there. It's been very difficult to recruit there, but staff's focusing on filling those vacancies in the coming quarter, just obviously prior to summer when the workload begins to increase, just based on the weather. So again, in this area, coordination with partners. This is looking at items or initiatives such as the Fair Housing Initiative and working with HUD based on federal realignment. So there's some ongoing issues there that are just kind of outside our control, but we're trying to move forward as best we can. Upcoming priorities, continued construction on the new Center for Active Adults. That initiative is on track, and we're working towards looking at additional items such as FF&E, furniture, fixtures, and equipment, as well as technology that's needed for the facility. So those are ongoing issues and items we're going to look at. And then upcoming priorities are to fill the vacancies within our code enforcement area. So goal 5, effective infrastructure and public utilities. Key accomplishments, our automated metering infrastructure project. We have more than 50% of the meters deployed and fully operational at this time. For public service project progress, we've had several that, excuse me, design work has been progressing very well. One of those being the West Green Stormwater Project, and we've also made a little bit of design headway with the City Lake Dam project. Other progress includes the survey work that is nearly complete for our Shady Brook Lift Station. So those are all big public services projects that have made some progress. And then we've also had some momentum with our Gallimore Dairy Road and Burton widening. So those 2 projects have made some good headway with the Gallimore Dairy Road anticipated to be complete by late spring. Challenges. Staff continues to keep an eye on cost escalation based on construction and materials. So we haven't realized anything major yet, but it's just a challenge that we're trying to keep an eye on and keep a beat on. So, yeah.
So costs have been relatively flat, or have you seen a gradual increase? What would you say is the delta between this year, 2025 and say 2024?
I spoke actually with the city engineer yesterday, and he noted that a lot of the bids are coming in near estimates for the projects he's seen of late. but he's definitely wanting to keep an eye on that. Just, I don't have specifics in comparison to year, but yeah, it's something just in the area that he's keeping an eye on. Another challenge, just based with the funds we have available, short versus long-term investments within our utilities and infrastructure for our community. So that's just an ongoing challenge that I think all communities are facing, and we continue to face that as well. Upcoming priorities within the work plan is to work on a pedestrian plan. This plan would provide options for expanding our sidewalk network, as well as creating repair plans for our sidewalks with some annual targets within that plan.
At this point, with pedestrian being the key word, can you give us an update, on where we are standing on the extension of the Greenway?
I don't have any information, but Mr. Duquesne may.
Morning, Chairman, members of the committee, Damon Duquesne, Assistant City Manager. I assume, sir, you're talking about the build grant, the RAISE grant. So the design for that portion of that project is 100%, and we also for the Elm Street portion as well. So in the previous update there, the next phase of that is to begin the right-of-way acquisition, so the properties that we'll need to acquire to build the project, with an ultimate completion of 2028 for the entire project. So that's without having any, actual specifics in front of me, but that's the plan.
Thank you.
Other upcoming priorities for this area, the AMI customer portal launch is anticipated this quarter. It's in the final testing phase as of right now. And just to continue our design efforts on the various projects that are ongoing within this area. And finally, our last goal area, high-performing organization. Key accomplishments here include our Workday system implementation that has been completed with the final tools being put in place last November. Employee recognition events. The last quarter held our two primary large employee recognition events, including the milestone ceremony, as well as the annual employee luncheon that took place. And refocusing on employee training following all the Workday training that was implemented. So our HR department held over 10 initiatives ranging from leadership to retirement training, all sorts of things there. Some challenges here, there was a statutory change related to new hires that work with children and the onboarding that's required there. So that was a challenge that we faced in the past quarter, as well as with the Workday implementation, changing some of the processes to make them all electric or more efficient. And so there were just some temporary challenges with that process as well. Finally, our upcoming priorities. We should receive within this quarter the initial findings from the compensation and classification study that took place. And so staff will begin reviewing those findings. We should complete our annual audit. The deadline for the audit was pushed back due to the federal government shutdown last fall. And so that deadline's now February, and we are on track for that. And finally, the Employee Engagement Committee is reviewing an employee survey that was conducted over the past year and providing some recommendations to our HR director and management. And with that, I believe those are all the updates for this past quarter. If you have any questions, any additional questions, I'm happy to try and answer those.
Any additional questions?
I've got a couple, and maybe a comment, but, and if it's not for you, I'm sure some of staff. I read the other week that on Washington Street, we have a submitted plan for a commercial project from an entrepreneur. Is that true in the paper?
That's what I read.
Well,
I mean, I read the same article.
There was a hotel project that was submitted for Washington Street, and what we'll do is be able to get you a little bit more details about that. I don't have a lot of specifics this morning, but we'll send that out to you.
And D-Up has broke ground.
They have.
Okay, all right. You know, all this surrounds, and this is an opinion, I guess, more than a question, and it takes time. We've been trying to energize and catalyze downtown like a lot of other towns, and it takes time. It takes years. But I think as individuals and as a collective and quote-unquote leaders of the city, we need to be very intentional and actually driving downtown traffic, feet on the ground, dollars spent to support the ones that have stepped up and taken the risk to hopefully get us to our ultimate goal as we build out. So a lot of what we're talking about and the comprehensive of this report is for the hopeful better economics and livability of our city. So I just wanted to share that hopefully and challenge each of us in our thought process and our activities to be intentional of being part of the solution.
Any other questions?
I'm curious about the traffic on the dashboard. Has that been getting a lot of, sorry, from Mr. Chair? Because, I mean, we're all, obviously, it's a great thing, but I'm just curious if the,
I can
generate
get
a lot
that
of traffic.
information for you. We do have Google Analytics set up for the dashboard, and so we should be able to provide that for you.
Thank you.
Quick question about your employee initiatives. You said that you have an employee engagement committee. How is that comprised? Who is that comprised from, and how often do they meet? And what is the process of recommendations coming back to you all?
Sure. So the Employee Engagement Committee, I just joined it. It's a group of staff from all various departments within the city. They meet monthly. Right now, because we've separated it into subcommittees essentially to look at this survey, we're meeting a little bit more regularly to help provide those recommendations that would coincide with budget requests. So.
And the reason I asked that question is the makeup of the committee. Does it range from, say, managers down to, say, hourly folks who may work in other departments out in the field?
That's
They
correct.
get an opportunity to participate as well?
That's correct.
Okay, great. It's really important to get a cross-section of views from across the organization to be able to get these great recommendations that come back. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that we have that.
And I will note, just as a side there, just noting that some people are in the field and some are managers within the field. That's been very helpful in trying to do our core value initiative, branding initiatives, just trying to figure out what's the best way to get that information out. The people who aren't in City Hall, or people who aren't just in a building behind a desk all day, the people who are actually in a truck or are just out and around our community.
Fantastic. Are there any other questions for Meredith this time?
I just have a general comment. I just want to thank the staff and the police and the fire and Pete over at the stadium for the event, Walk for Peace, the other day. That just was an amazing event, and it went so well, and everybody worked together and collaborated on making that a really impactful event, and it definitely got people downtown, Councilman Moore. Because we went to Sweet Old Bill's afterwards, and there were quite a few people who were not from High Point.
It's great. You
Very
care
cool.
to
It's
share
very
your,
cool.
suggestions to the stadium?
Expound on that question.
About the potential of them returning?
Oh, well, I think we should have an incentive program by which the monks could be at each home game. Help bring peace and energy to the city. And if anybody remembers the breathing technique he was telling us to do, if y'all would send that to me. I've had several things yesterday and this morning that I needed it.
Right.
Can't quite figure it out.
Today is your peaceful day.
That's right.
absolutely.
Write it down. Write it down every morning, Councilman Moore.
Well, I want to echo the sentiment of Councilman Harmon and the entire tech committee. I was extremely proud of our city on Monday. And the eyes of the world were on us. Like, if you go online, you see folks from all around the country and all around the world sharing images from the city of High Point. And so when we talk about what we create in High Point changes the world, it's those type of things that actually make us live up to that motto. And so I want us to continue to believe in High Point. We can do big things. We can do amazing things when we all pull together. And Monday was, to me, the epitome of collaboration. There were private folks, and there were folks from the Asian community. There was city, it was police, fire, it was elected officials, everyone coming together for a beautiful moment for our city. And so that's the type of energy that we need to keep as we move forward, energizing the city of High Point. So I was extremely proud of all involved, and I think it just signals of what we're capable of and our potential as a city. So just wanted to add that. If there are no other comments, that presentation does not require a vote. Is there any other announcements from the dais at this point?
You gonna do the Hoosiers chant?
No, maybe not a Hoosiers chant, but I will say, I'm hoping for it, but there does seem to be a weather front heading this way, so please be considerate of all those who may be affected, and keep yourselves warm and safe as we enter Snowpocalypse 2026. But if there's nothing else to come before the Tech Committee, we are adjourned.